Hey, what's good, guys? My name is Chris.
And I'm Jody.
Welcome back to episode 2, or just 2?
Just two
Of WearTesters Unlaced. This is our new kind of project, I guess you could say. I just turned off the AC and the fan so that we can have good sound quality, and I'm already sweating. So we're going to try to plow through this as quickly as possible, but also, you know, keep it a little more entertaining maybe than last time, maybe a little bit less down.
Oh, you mean we're not going to get sad version of you?
Right, yeah, we're gonna get normal version of me this time. So everything's gonna be kind of like, hey, happy-go-lucky and stuff. And well, should we like critique ourselves real quick? I think I'd like to.
I have a critique for myself.
Go for it.
Only because we are making this into a podcast, so you'll be able to find it eventually anywhere where you can listen to it.
Yeah, once we figure that out.
And so anyways, I was having to turn it into just an audio file, and I realized that I can't just sign out with like hand gestures. I have to actually say goodbye.
Did you not say that?
No, because I'm used to just and
well,
yeah.
Learning curve. Yeah, a couple of things that I was just flustered with was our camera was like getting just, it was just too much.
Everything we could do wrong with the cameras we did. We filmed over half of it in the highest frame setting. Which
was my fault. It was, we normally film in like 60 frames, and when I do B-roll, I like to do 120, because then I can like, I could just pan and things like that. All of that's handheld, and it looks better than if I were to try to do that not in 120. So that way we can slow the footage down. And somebody, me, forgot to switch the frame rate back, so oops.
Well, it's because we have jobs. Usually like I come in and I set up the initial cameras, and then after we do our main filming, you take the cameras and you change it back to what you want. And so we're constantly flip-flopping, and we were both just trying to be like, we can set this up, it's just gonna be easy peasy. And we had batteries overheating.
We were not that confident, okay? There was nothing easy peasy in my mind. I didn't think that there was gonna be as much hiccups as there was. Yeah. We had to film the ending a number of times.
I turned off the camera without ending the file, and so it just lost so much.
It didn't write onto the disc, like the SD disc or SD card.
And then the camera claimed that it could recover it. It lied.
It can if you don't pull the disc out. Because I've done that before too. So yeah, but mine has been with B-roll. That's something much easier to just like, oh, I'll just go and grab that shot again. Unless, which I've done this before too, where I do all my B-roll and I forget to press record. And that's like, could be up to an hour's worth of work.
I don't even know how you do that, because if I don't touch the camera long enough, it just shuts off.
It's because I'm constantly focusing it and adjusting it because I'm panning. And so it's moving. And yeah, and
So it's like you're moving the mouse on the computer real quick.
Yeah, and so I've done a lot where I've messed up and stuff. I've been doing this for 14, 15-ish years. So I'm well versed in ups. You've been doing this for 5, something like that. I don't remember what year we brought you in, but
since TK, so about 5 years.
Okay, so yeah, so like you still got plenty of ups in you. My
best F up, and I was so confident. What is the name of that shoe that we did?
Which one?
It was a black and white shoe. And it's one that has a lot of views on it because it's just anybody was grabbing it.
Was it a Hirachi?
I don't know. I'll have to look it up. And for people who are listening, they're not going to be able to see the thumbnail, which kind of sucks. But anyways, in the very beginning, the intro to this video is Chris going, "Are you sure it's in focus?" And I'm like, yes, it's the most focused it's ever been. The whole video is out of focus.
And everybody let us know.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. But welcome back to episode 2. If you're listening to this in audio only form, we have a YouTube channel. That's how this started. So you can go to youtube.com/WearTesters, check us out. If you like shoes, if you like reviews, we do performance reviews as well. So we've kind of got everything covered underneath our little umbrella here. And with that being said, we'll go ahead and jump right into sneaker news.
Wipe your head.
Thanks.
I was saying it.
It's fine.
On the down low.
I know. I don't care. I can feel it. I want to go like turn the fan back on and be like, F the sound quality, but we can't.
You don't have a paper towel?
I actually don't. So can we pause the cameras for a moment so I can go and get like a damp cloth?
Yeah.
Thanks. So our sneaker news segment is very simple. We just kind of discuss briefly some of the more recent, I guess you could say, sneaker news within the sneaker landscape of things. I just go to Instagram.com or Instagram.com. It's just Instagram, the app, and I've been pulling from sneakernews.com, at least we did in the first episode. In this episode, I am pulling from Sneaker News as well as from Z Sneakerhead. So, you know, you can see that on the screen, obviously, if you're watching on YouTube. And if you can't, then those are the two Instagram accounts that we're pulling these news bits from and stuff like that. So this first one, I don't know if this is an actual image of the shoe or if this is just a render, but supposedly the Foamposite 1 is coming back once again. I think we've done a couple of reviews on like the anthracites or the all blacks. What was the other one? The all whites that was like the penny PEs, but not. You know, they're coming back. I know that the Galaxy one is coming back and everybody's hyped about those. I've never been a huge fan of those. I know that that's a big, like, I guess a knock to my sneaker head cred or whatever, but I never thought that that was like worth any of the hype. That it's cool, but like I don't think that they're like, oh, I'm gonna go wait outside for 2 weeks. This one though is kind of a lifestyle colorway where it's a light Orwood brown, and again, I don't know if what you're seeing on the screen, if you're watching this on YouTube, I don't know if that's an actual version of the shoe, but if it is, it looks like there is, I want to call the posit material sail, just because I can't tell. And then the bottoms, normally they're like clear, but it looks like they're, you know, like kind of like a light clear brown.
It's that whole tonal brown vibe that's going everywhere.
We talked about this in the video that you hopefully have seen by the time this comes up, but has not been made live at the time of this recording.
So we just did the, what are they called again? Oh, the praline ones for the women. And
brown is back. Reminds me of high school, 2000, 2001-ish. And I'm not mad at it. I think that they actually they look kind of cool for a Foamposite and stuff. It's nice to see them in kind of a lifestyle-esque colorway. But is it a must cop? Foams cost like two something now, like $240.
I believe it.
Yeah, so that's a pretty hard pass, especially right about now in today's economy. So this next one is a women's exclusive. It's the Air Jordan 3 and what they're calling the Cosmic Clay colorway. You gotta love these names, right?
Oh, I love them.
And praline, Cosmic Clay, like, geez. I think that it's a great looking colorway. Again, is it a must cop? No, but I mean, these brands are brands and they're not gonna not make stuff, you know what I mean? I do find that it's funny that this is the brand that's also really touting sustainability while pumping out so much product that it is very bad for the environment. And they're tanking on sales right now, like as of this moment. And so a big thing that large companies do typically when that's the case is that they offload their workforce a little bit. They lay people off.
I get that, but at the same time, all of these shoes have been already made, so they're still going to put them out.
I get that, but
you feel like they should stretch their calendar?
They should stretch the calendar and really stop making so many shoes. When I was in school, when things started first retroing, we'd get a retro like once a month. Once a month. We're talking about multiple times a week nowadays.
Oh, I know. Keeps us in business.
That is true. So Jordan brand, if you'd like to keep going, then go for it. No, I'm just kidding. But you know, it also costs us a ton of money. We don't get these shoes for free. So yeah, we have to pay for everything that we review and everything like that. Every once in a while we get some free stuff, but not like what you would think. I think it's a great looking colorway. So if you don't have a pair of threes, I think they're dope. It's a women's colorway. So what do you think?
I think when he had shown me right before filming, I was like, those look familiar. And he's like, yeah, because you have them in the Lucky Green colorway. And that wasn't even what I was thinking of. I was just like, they look like the Katrinas and the Cardinals. And
you got to give her mad props for remembering these names.
So if I thought hard enough, I could probably come up with 3 others. I'm just saying, like, I know. I've seen these.
That's what we were talking about in that praline video, was that they're making these shoes in all the shades. Mm-hmm. So like if brown is the color, how many browns can we squeeze out? I mean, but yeah, so that's just kind of how it feels. And again, it's not very sustainable, but I get it from a corporate perspective. But I really do think that they should be cutting down a lot, not just from the retro side, but from the lifestyle side. Like half the lifestyle stuff ends up at outlets. Why do you even release them? Back in the day when I had a good relationship with the brand and the people that work there, they really would like let me know like, hey, we can't do this and diminish the legacy of the brand. And fast forward all these years later, and it's exactly what they've done. So it's like, I just don't get it. The thing that I got shut down with is I was telling them, this was back in 2011, 2012. It was back in 2013 when the 28s were about to drop. And I was telling them like, hey, why don't you guys update your retros for performance and replace the polyurethane with Phylon and so on and so forth.
He was dreaming of pro-troing before pro-troing was a thing.
Yeah, this is long before pro-tros, and I'm not saying that it's I do not take that as that. That's not what I'm saying.
I wasn't saying that either. I'm just saying, like, you had ideas.
Yeah, but I think that all of us as sneakerheads did. Like, this is not like a exclusive to me thing. This is like a we thing, like a collective community thing, which is like, hey, make the retros more comfortable, period. Like, make them for basketball. Like, I don't know, your brand started, you know what I mean? So like, it's like that kind of thing. They swiftly shot that down. They were just like, no, we're not doing that. It's going to diminish the legacy of the brand and, you know, what MJ wore. And I was like, how? If anything, you could release two. You could release a as-is retro that is just like what was, or as close as the brand can get. And then what you would consider a pro-tro nowadays, even though they wouldn't be able to use that word. But yeah, they should really cut down the lines. I'm just going to wipe my head while you guys are watching, because I can feel it rolling down my forehead. And at this point, you already know I'm sweating, so it's all good. But
I was going to keep it under wraps, but now I guess it's there.
Oh, my bad. I thought we were just being open.
Oh, okay.
I thought this was like a less edited.
It is a less edited, but...
It's not if it's edited. Like, I'm sweating, it's fine. I'm in a garage and it's like 100 degrees outside. It's all good. But, you know, I just think that the brand could do better. That's all. But guess who's coming back? The Reebok ES22, Emmitt Smith's signature trainer from Reebok. This is the trainer Reebok question, if you will. Are we going to actually review this as its own video? I hope so. I don't know if anybody really remembers these outside of old people like me. I think that they're really cool. I think that they're really fun. I've always wanted a pair. I think they've only retroed once in my lifetime outside of the original release. And the first time they didn't do it right. The second time, that's an original colorway that you're seeing on the screen. And again, they didn't do it right. So Reebok is kind of like, you know, 0 for 2 at this point. The originals had a clear bottom. These do not. You know, it bothers me a little bit. It's just one of those weird things. However, I think that it's awesome that they're coming back. However, for 180, what?
Are these some Jordan 1s?
For real. Like, now I will say, tech-wise, at least the original product, the original was more tech-heavy or teched out than an Air Jordan 1. So in today's economy or whatever, it would make sense. But I know that there's going to be a handful of Jordan 1s that just have better materials, and the hexalite is clearly not hexalite. It's that fake shit. But yeah, I know that I'm excited about the release. Feel free to roll your eyes a little harder. Yeah, or what do you think about them?
I don't know. I saw them really quickly. The blue was pretty. Yeah, the blue was pretty. And that's all I got.
Now, one shoe that I'm super excited for is the Air Jordan 4 in the military colorway. It is the last colorway to be properly remastered / retroed like the original and stuff, with the Nike Air on the back. The last time that they released, we did do a review on them, but it had the Jumpman on the back tab. This time around, it's going to have the Nike Air on there. Hopefully they look like the SB4s, that shape and that look with the suede and on the toe. Oh, I love those 4s, by the way. They are so comfortable, but I'm excited for these shoes.
Do you hope that they have their traditional plastic tab, or do you want the SB tab?
Just the material?
Yes.
I want that material. I don't want it to say SB.
Oh, obviously. I'm just saying, like, the purist in you who wants them as original as possible.
I'm not as much of a purist as some people think. I like change in the retros. Like we just talked about, I want them to be made better.
Everybody has certain things that they want exactly the same. And then there's other things where you're like, no, if you can tweak them to make better, but then there's still the people who just really want things.
Yes, and those people I respect like wholeheartedly, because I completely understand where they're coming from. But when it comes to wearability, I want to wear these shoes. I don't want them to sit on my shelf. I don't want them to look pretty. You know what I mean? I mean, I do, but on my feet so I can enjoy them. That's the thing. Like, do I want them to mess with the toe shape? No. I want them to look the way that they used to.
Why are they called military blue?
I don't know.
I've been hearing about these military blues for a while now, and I thought they were navy.
No, it's actually a really weird color blue. It's like a light blue, but not. It's kind of royal, but kind of not.
It looks vibrant.
You have to see it in person. It's a weird color. I really like it. It's understated as a blue. So like if you're wearing an outfit with blue in it, like this is a a shoe that would match maybe an accent color and really set your fit off. Now this is some new news, but as far as like a look goes, I know that the shoe in this colorway has been talked about online, but this is the first time that we're actually seeing a pair. It's the Air Jordan 6 in the yellow ochre colorway. Is that how to spell that or say that?
How do you spell it?
O-C-H-R-E. Is it ochre or okra?
It's not okra. I thought maybe that's what you were trying to say.
No, like I don't know what it is, but either way, it looks like these stupid chairs.
I was gonna say they look like my beautiful chairs.
Yeah, the chairs that give me the weirdest posture for a perfect belly.
I love these chairs.
Geez, man.
They're so comfortable.
Not for me. But yeah, I'm excited for these. Not super excited. Like I don't think that it's a must cop or anything, but it's a fun colorway. A riff off of the old original Carmine color blocking. I always love that in any review that we've ever done on a Carmine or Carmine style Air Jordan 6. I've always said take that color and turn it into whatever the you want, and it's going to be dope. And this is just kind of living proof of that. So anything that you'd like to add?
I think they look fun.
I agree. I think that it's a fun looking shoe.
I've been on a yellow kick, so...
Actually, me too. And I don't... Yellow and green, they were never my favorite colors growing up.
Do not make me debate you in your love of green.
But what I'm saying is that as of late, like I feel like those two colors really stand out to me.
As of late, as in like the last 10 years.
Oh, bullshit. 10 years.
If not more.
No, it hasn't.
Yes. Ever since the shoe that comes to mind whenever you're like, I don't really like green, it makes me think of those Jordan 1s, the trophy Jordan 1 lows. Didn't you have the Sonics or something?
Oh, that's the Air Jordan 1 Low Fat in the Championship Edition pack.
Man, I was still really close.
Not really, because I thought you were talking about trophy rooms, and I was like, I never had a pair of those.
No, where they literally had the little trophies on them. So anyways, we got them for you, and I remember it being like a big deal, and I was just like, oh, look, my man likes green.
Not only did they have green, but they had yellow too, because it was based off of the Sonics.
That's what I said, the Sonics ones.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Oh, my bad. But yeah, that was a dope shoe, though.
And it sparked, actually, what sparked your love of green would be Tommy Oliver.
I think that was what it was, actually, is that like, because I love the white Ranger, but every time I see that fucking green Ranger suit, man, something about that one, I'm just like, yeah, that's sick.
It followed you into adulthood, and it hasn't let you go, even though you keep trying to deny it.
I'm just keeping it real. I'm just being honest.
And I'm calling you on it.
If I say that I don't like something, I don't like it.
But you do like it, and it drives me crazy. It's like the one thing, you're very on point in everything else, but your denial of the green.
I think somebody's got a problem.
I do. He keeps denying it.
She's got a vendetta. Now it's time for the shoes we didn't review for whatever reason. Most likely this time around. The last time it was a lot of Reeboks, and that's because there's very little interest, unfortunately, nowadays within the sneaker realm about Reeboks and stuff. But this time they're just redundant, so I'm not gonna, review them or anything like that. But I do think that they are great colorways of great shoes, and they should just be looked at for even just a moment.
Speaking of yellow.
Yeah, this is the shoe is still, I don't want to call them hideous, but they really are, but they're so striking that like I don't not like them.
I think it just shocks me that they're a basketball shoe every time I see them.
I think that's what I love about them. It's like this shoe brings back the what the factor when you see a shoe for the first time. Like when you go and pull out like a 1996 East Bay catalog, and if you never have seen any of the shoes in that catalog in the basketball section or even in any of the sections, and you flip to the page, a lot of these new kids in this, sneaker world are going to be like, what the f is it? And that's what you want. You want that kind of like that, what the sh that's these. And so, yeah, I really like these, man. And it's a great on-court performer. This is still one of the best shoes of 2023, in my opinion. So, yeah, having one of the best shoes in a great new look or new colorway, I just think is, you can't really beat that. So here we've got a 2-for-1. This is just my way of putting two shoes in one segment, but it's the AJKO Low in two great colorways. One is black and white, but what some would consider the pandas. What some would get triggered over hearing the word panda. And then we got the classic black and red look. The AJKO is a shoe that I absolutely love. It used to be a relic as far as a model goes. It was like the original takedown model, if you will. You know what I mean? Where there was, back in the 80s, there was the Air Jordan one, and then there was the AJKO, which was a cheaper canvas material, no leather, no tack, no air, and so it was under the original retail price, which only was $65 for the original Air Jordan, and the AJKO was just under that. It's not maybe a fan favorite amongst most current sneakerheads and stuff like that, but I think that these are still just an awesome shoe. And then to see them alter the shoe where it never originally came out as a low, I believe. I don't remember ever seeing a low, but they look better as a low. Like this looks fantastic, I think. They, again, great colorways. The canvas is dope. You know, like it's just easy to wear. They don't take a long time to break in. The high tops, for whatever reason, they pinch my feet at the bottom of the laces. I don't know why.
Wow.
I know. I don't even have a wide foot.
Welcome to the group.
Well, no, I was in the group last time. I talked about the Jordan 4s obliterating my pinky toe.
I was just like, wow.
Yeah, no, I've been in this group, man. Leave me alone. You know how many shoes cut my feet up? But yeah, I got scars all over the damn place, and it's all from sneakers. But yeah, I just think that these are dope, man. I think that's a great chill shoe. Like if you don't want to fuck up your Jordan 1s, even though they look great when they're beat up, but if you don't want to up your Jordan 1s, wear the KOs. Like these are a clean shoe, and they're just rotting on shelves right now. So you can grab these for way under retail. And if they're not under retail yet, they will be.
I bet they're not getting moldy though.
I don't know. Because that's the thing. They coat the shoes with stuff.
What are they coating them with?
Whatever it is, it makes crystals and shit. Maybe one of these times I'll bust out my 2015 Black and Royal lows that are still dead stock that I grabbed over at the Nike outlet. Looks like Zeo crystals, bro. Like it's nuts. And yeah, and I never cleaned it. I just kept letting it grow because I have another pair that I wear.
It's your own little science experiment.
Well, I just thought it was weird. So I was like,
grab them and the box is gonna bite you.
that would actually suck. But yeah, what do you think about both colorways and the shoe itself? Would you wear these? I know that you like your Dunks. So what about this?
I would wear these. I am curious. Can I see your back tab? Yeah, my complaint is the way they've stitched it, the J no longer looks like a J. So it looks like it says Aiko. And as somebody...
That one had a good
No, look at this
stitching,
J.
didn't it? It still looks way better than this one.
So as somebody with a J name, I like to see beautiful J's, and these do not have that.
Well, I can't argue with that because I would prefer just the regular stamp.
A stamp.
Yeah, because then it would be perfect visually. They didn't do anything special for the tongue tab, so why did they do it for the back tab? I don't know. Maybe it's to try to elevate the look. But yeah, sometimes you should just leave well enough alone. Can I ask you a question? And I need a real answer. When I dab myself, do I look wet still?
You did a good job this time. Earlier you were doing it so I could like see a mask
It's
line.
because I put water in it. Because
No,
it was
I know.
cooling me off and wiping off my sweat. So I don't look all glossy. I look okay?
You look fine.
Okay.
You look refreshed. I wish you had brought me one, not so I could like dab myself because my face pretty much stays pretty, but I would like something
pretty?
on. No, not
Damn.
stays pretty, but like stays pretty dry. But like my hands are sweaty, so it would be nice if I had something to.
Oh, my bad.
So it's fine.
Next time.
Next time.
Next time.
Timeout.
So Timeout is a segment where we would just take a break and time out from sneakers and anything related to sneakers. And we talk about something that I personally find to be my first love, which is the comic and action figure world. Before I ever played basketball, before I ever bought a name brand sneaker, I was, you know, drawing and reading comic books and watching cartoons and stuff like that from the 80s and 90s. And that is probably my biggest passion outside of sneakers and everything. I do love footwear and basketball and stuff like that, but I do like more things than that. So actually, one of the things that we were supposed to talk about that I forgot to
Is the Ninja Turtle movie.
yeah, so we're just gonna slide it right into Timeout. So Mutant Mayhem, somebody was asking about that on the last episode in the comment section, asking if we watched it. The answer is yes. Our sons watched it twice already.
Yeah,
even though we haven't.
He got my best friend to take him to the drive-ins.
Yeah, so that was when she was watching him while we were in Portland. Yeah, I really liked the movie. I thought it was super cute. I thought that it was way better than it actually had any business being.
I had zero expectation going to the movies that night.
It was all the promo stuff. I was like, okay, so you're introducing the Turtles, Splinter.
Everybody.
Well, that's the thing. They introduced so many mutants that, like, if you watch the original TV show, it took seasons to introduce and implement. That was weird, you know? And so, like, I'm watching all of this promotional stuff being like, how are we going to meet Genghis Frog? Like, if you know the original, like, the mutant frog storyline or whatever in the original series, that wasn't just like a quick it wasn't a one episode thing, but it wasn't like, hey, let's just do this right now. Like it was just interesting to see that. And same thing with like Wingnut. Wingnut's one of my favorite characters. He was one of my favorite action figures. So that was interesting. Rocksteady and Bebop, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I was just like, how are they going to do all of this? So yeah, so I thought the movie was very cool. I still don't like that they changed the origin of the turtles from, you know, learning from a ninja master.
I liked how they did it.
Or that their ninja master had a pet that learned and then got mutated. Those are the original comic and original film adaptations from, you know, the 80s and 90s and stuff. But I will say, because I was having this conversation with a friend, the longer that we get away from that era of Japan, like that's where like there isn't going to be ninjas.
Well, and my whole thing is so much like that's how you started WearTesters and like figuring out how to edit. Everything was through a YouTube video, or so like for them to be like off of VHS tapes, like I don't find that out of the realm of possibilities.
No, the fact that they are so good at it when nobody's there to teach them the proper way of doing things, because that's the thing. Like you can shoot a basketball, but are you shooting it properly? That's the whole thing. But I will say, like I said, the further that you get away from what the origins were based off of, when it's supposed to be set in modern-ish times, it doesn't make sense that, you know, is there one magical temple? I'm sure that there is. I know that there's still monks and stuff, but like, it just really wouldn't make much sense. It's like when you look back at the whole X-Men thing and you see their origins for like Magneto.
With the Nazis.
Yeah, the further that we get away from the Holocaust, and if they're going to reboot that stuff in X-Men and introduce them into the modern MCU, you're gonna have to change the backstory unless you make it a period piece at this point in time. Like it is what it is, and they did that already with the first class stuff. So that's kind of what it is. But yes, I love the movie. If I was gonna rank them, I still would put the original movie, the 1990 film, is still my favorite movie of all time, period. And I don't have many of those films. They're weird too. Should I just say them?
Go for it.
Okay, so the original Turtle movie, 89 Batman, Boondock Saints. You can lump 1 and 2 in together, even though the first one is still better. But and then The Crow with Brandon Lee. Like those are just some of my favorite movies ever. Like you could put those on and I'll just sit there quietly, except for with the first movie. I will talk. I have memorized since I was like 6 every word.
He talks a lot to himself when we watch things. He claims he doesn't. For example,
I'm not talking, I'm just reacting. There's moments in movies.
We watched Ahsoka last night, and at the end of it, he was just like, oh my gosh, I've never talked so much through. No, trust me, babe. You do it all the time. And I've just learned to like be like, he's not talking to me. I'm just having a moment.
I'm talking to my younger self. That's what's happening. I'm like, holy crap, I can't believe I'm watching this. But yeah, I would still rank the first movie, the 1990 film, as first. I would still rank Secret of the Ooze as second. I would put Mutant Mayhem as third. And then the rest of them just kind of whatever. However, I did get some toy pickups. Some are new, some are not. The new one is this bad boy right here. Captain Planet as a pop figure. I just recently found an original Captain Planet loose action figure. I only have a couple of the Planeteers. I like to slowly find things and just hunt. I love bargain bins, and it's almost like thrifting, you know what I mean? But instead of for clothes, it's for toys. So yeah, so this one though, I just happened to like walk into a GameStop, and I saw him as I was leaving. He was literally pointing at me saying, "You will buy me now." And I said, "Yes, I will." So he came home with me, and I don't like buying pops anymore because once you pop, you can't stop. And yeah, they're just so cute. Like, look at him. How would you not buy him? The power is yours.
I just like how it was a fun tie-in to last week's episode because I made a Captain Planet reference.
I think you spoke him into existence.
I did.
They made and manufactured, shipped, and delivered so fast. It was amazing. So thank you.
To Anime Con. Is that where you picked him up?
No, GameStop. I just told the story. So who's not listening now?
It was a long weekend.
You're telling me. Now, someone in episode 1's comment section, maybe it was Ninja Turtles, something I had done or talked about in that of my pickups, they had asked me about Toxic Crusaders. Yes, I do have Toxic Crusaders. I love Toxic Crusaders. This is from Super 7. These are the remakes, if you want to call them that or whatever. They're not Reaction. Reaction's the 5-point articulation, like Kenner style. The Super 7 Ultimates, that's what they're called. Ultimates. So the Ultimate stuff are beefed up, larger scale, 7-inch scale stuff. So the original stuff was about 4 inches. These guys are 7. This particular Toxie, they've released Toxie many times, but I have one other one, not the original, which is like based off of the original action figure, which I do have the original figure. I'll show that at a different time. But this is actually built, or not built, but designed after the cartoon Toxie. So what you see in the animated series, he looks like this. They come in spectacular boxes, tons of accessories. Super 7 is just one of my favorite brands right now for toy collecting. Super 7 and NECA, they're literally my favorite. They do so great with sculpting. Like their looks just like whatever it is that they're making. It's kind of creepy, but awesome all at the same time. Now I've got this guy too. This is the Radiation Ranger. This is the army build figure. I love the original version of this, the 4-inch scale. I just always thought that they looked really cool, but I never had a pair, or not a pair, damn. It's like I'm talking about shoes. I never had one. As a kid, fun fact, I only had one figure of the Toxic Crusader line as a kid. I'll talk about him in a second. And yeah, I just think that he looks so freaking cool, dude. Like this, right?
So cool.
So cool. I mean, this is just badass. You cannot deny the badassery within this figure. Last but not least, my favorite of the bunch. This was the only figure from the original line that I originally had as a kid. His name is Junkyard. He just looked really cool, and he was like a nice side character. I always like sidekicks. I don't know why. I love the main characters too, but you know, sidekicks are always my jam. But you know, Junkyard, the original figure, which again, I do have this as well, is one of my all-time favorite toys ever. I just loved his sculpt. He had a weird rubbery tongue that you would roll up into his mouth, and then you would like open his head and it would roll out. It was just stupid and fun and dumb, and I loved the way that it looked. I love the way that the Super 7 figure came out. They really do. One of the coolest things about the Super 7 stuff, because I have a lot of their Ninja Turtle stuff. Actually, I think I have all of it, and they've released many waves. But there's stuff in the original molds of these figures from when we were kids that just didn't get paint applications because of costs. And so there's so much detail in these molds that you never knew were there, or if you did know that they were there, they just weren't highlighted. And this company fixes that. So if you get like an original Muckman and compare it to the Super 7 Ultimate Muckman, like there's stuff stuck in that character that you're like, oh my God, they painted it. You know what I mean? And it just looks so much cooler and so much better. And so I just love that they do that stuff. So yeah, this is Junkyard. I think that he's awesome, man. I love his face, his eyes, everything. I just love it. It's when I look at these, it just makes me happy.
I know we're about to jump over to a very fun, like the grand finale
right.
interview.
What the video is titled, or
yeah.
the podcast is titled.
Yeah, this episode. But somebody, since we're in a weird collection category right now.
Can I put these down?
Sure, go for it.
It's fine. You can keep talking.
But somebody had asked if there is any weird thing I collect that you have to put up with.
Okay. One, good question. Two, there didn't used to be, even though I don't find anything that anyone collects weird, because I'm the weird. I'm the weird. Yeah, I'm the weird guy. So like, it's always funny when people are like, "Oh, that's weird that you collect that." It's like, well, people collect coins. Isn't that weird? And they'd be like, "Yes." People collect stamps. Isn't that weird? Yes. Well, I collect other stuff that's weird. So, you know what I mean? But yeah, she doesn't really collect anything. Her whole thing was always been books, and when we got her the Kindle, you stopped getting them, and so yeah. They're all digital, you know what I mean? So she doesn't really have like collections of things, but now she has little knickknacks that either are from her childhood, and I'd like to thank myself for this, that I've eventually rubbed off on her. It took her a really long time, but like what you see behind her actually is a giant from Target ad that they had at an end cap of the aisle of the Barbie movie, and then underneath it was all of the Barbie movie merchandise. I walked in one time and they had a Motu standee, Masters of the Universe, and it was where you put in all the action figures, and I have pegs with, or peg walls with pegs where I hang all of that stuff, but I'm running out of space. So I saw this and it was empty. I was like, oh, that would be sick to just have in the studio, and I could put all my new, you know, Motu figures in there, and so I'd have a spot for them. So I asked the employee, and this guy said, no, we're gonna use it for something else, and then they threw it away like a and it made me mad because that's not recycling, and I could have used that. And yeah, and so this time though, I ran into a lady and she had this thing stuffed in her cart, and I think you were with me.
I was.
Yeah.
I had to carry it out of the store.
That's right. And so yeah, so I just was just like, oh, excuse me, and she was just like, yeah. And I was like, what are you gonna do with that? And she was just like, oh, I'm just gonna throw it away. And I was like, can I have it? And she was like, sure. You know what I mean? And I was like, thanks. And so I just grabbed it and I handed it to you. And I don't know if you necessarily wanted it, because it's so big.
It is. First we took like a boomerang of me,
right.
And my daughter is my #1 stalker on Instagram. And so instantly she was just like, ugh. And then we had it propped up. So when she came home, it was like the first thing she saw. And she's just like, you brought it home?
Of course.
But so I had just said, I was just like, oh, like we already have like a really cool space in here. But I was just like, someday when we have even a bigger space, you can set it up in your toy room. And he's like, why would I have your Barbie thing in my toy room?
Now that I look at it, I do, like, I appreciate it, and I really like the movie, so
yeah.
I wouldn't mind having it in there, but you know, it would fit the theme. I just don't have any Barbies. That's where she has Barbies and stuff. So
I have 2.
well,
I have my
I bought her the movie
childhood
one.
Barbie,
Right.
and then he found me the movie one.
And they were always stuffed in a box in one of these storage units, and so it wasn't until she watched the Barbie movie. So thank you, Barbie movie, for
giving me woman power.
unlocking her like inner child and being like, oh, it's cool or okay to have these things. And I just never grew up, so I've always been that way. So like I've always been like, no, you're just gonna have to deal with my toys. So yeah, so that's just kind of what it is. But yeah, she doesn't truly collect anything really.
Yeah.
Maybe do you think that you do?
I don't think I collect things. I think I am, when I'm into something, I'm really into it. Like I love musicals and I love the theater, and so I enjoy going to those
That's true.
things.
You
so,
have more experiences.
Yeah, so
I
that's
have
where
more things.
That's where I put my money into, is I want to go and do these things, and I will then have to buy something while I'm at that
A souvenir.
thing. Yes. So that's what I was upset by Rents. They had 0 souvenirs for me to buy.
There's no merch?
No, they had 0 merch. I went and hunted somebody down during intermission, and they're like, I don't know why we don't have merch.
They
Isn't
didn't
it
even
dumb?
have a poster?
Nothing.
That's
All I
weird.
have is my pamphlet.
Well, that was a big missed opportunity.
Exactly. Basically, if this was a regular video, right now I would insert Julia Roberts saying,
Big
mistake. Huge.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just, I'm more antisocial. So I like to walk into my own room and look at my own things, and those things make me happy. You know what I mean? So versus her, she's more of an experiential person, which is cool because then it balances us out. Plus, we don't have enough room for...
We can't both hoard everything, and we both can't, like, buy tickets to everything, so.
Exactly. So it just works out.
Yeah.
So in episode 1, we actually did a story time where I went a little bit through my past and things like that, but then also we went through the experience of a lifetime, essentially.
I wish we could have talked on it more. Maybe we'll revisit our Portland experiences in a later video.
Maybe. Actually, if you have more questions about the Portland
Because I have things to say.
Yeah, like let us know down below, like if there's any questions that you had, if we can answer them, because we did sign an NDA. So like there are things that we did there and saw there, and we're just simply not allowed to talk about them. We can't even say what that was, which I wish I could, but I cannot. But just let us know, and we can gather those questions up and maybe use them in episode 3 or 4, who knows. But I was able to meet back up with a good friend of ours, Aaron Cooper. He's one of the reasons why we were invited to the Portland trip.
Not one of. He is the reason.
He is the reason. But while we were there, and while we were all talking amongst all of the people that were there, and all the different like ex-executives and brand managers and buyers and historians and all of this stuff, there was a story very quickly like told real quick, and it was about how a toy revolutionized the footwear industry and introduced EVA, like molded EVA, into footwear. And I just think that like, for one, I'm a toy guy, so like that was cool. And then for 2, I'm a footwear guy, so that was fascinating. For 3, this story I've never heard before. And I've read many books, and I have watched many videos. I have talked to many people inside and outside and everywhere in between at every brand. Never once have I ever heard this. Not once.
And now you guys get to hear it.
Yeah, and I wanted to originally just tell the story myself, but then I was just like, you know what? Like, I think that it'd be better if Aaron Cooper helped me out. So
With that being said.
yeah, with that being said, here he is.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Aaron Cooper. I was originally at Nike for 25 years. Been away from Nike for the last 5. You can find me on Instagram at aaroncooper.ac.cooper. Telling a lot of sneaker stories on there. I'm having a lot of fun in the community. So thanks for having me.
No problem. It's always great to have you on. We've had him on once before. This is something that we talked about in episode 1. It was my pick for one of my favorite reviews that we've done recently. We discussed the Nike Air Pippen 2, one of the best basketball shoes in my opinion of all time. Something that Cooper designed. He's designed many of our favorites, some of which we don't even know. I'm still learning about some of the new models that he's done, or not new, but some of the older models that he's done from our past. If you like shoes like the Turbulence, and I know that you were name dropping a few others, but go ahead and just name some of them that are maybe your favorites.
Well, I think that's what's going to come out of this story, which is super fun, are 3 shoes that were worn a ton in the NBA, and they were all $75 to $80, which blows people away. The Thrill Flight, the Maestro 2, and the Turbulence.
The Turbulence is a fan favorite of mine. I have a pair right back there, but today we're going to actually talk about how the toy industry sort of changed footwear as an industry as a whole. A lot of us already know that EVA had been used previously in basic runners and things like that. Usually you'll see those EVA wedges, and then eventually throughout the 80s they started transitioning into polyurethane, especially Nike specifically. That particular material was better for the air units that they were using inside of the tech or inside of the footwear. And then from there, coincidentally, just something just shifted in someone's mind when they saw something else, which is really cool. It's like what Cooper always talks about, a domino effect, and it just kind of changed the landscape of footwear. So explain, I guess, the origins of the teddy bear.
So Jeff Johnson, who was employee number 1, had a friend who was in the toy industry and was at a convention, toy convention, and saw this foam teddy bear that Mattel made. I think that it was like kind of like a little giveaway thing just to promote this new foam, this new technology, if you will. So Jeff Johnson's friend got it and then sent it to Jeff. And then Jeff was like, oh, this is pretty interesting. And he gave that to Bruce Kilgore, who was heading up innovation in a number of other departments, I'm sure, back then when Nike was essentially starting back in the early 80s. It was Bruce that saw, use for the footwear industry, because at the time it was just taking poured PU or EVA that was cut. They call it cut and buff. So they would cut it and then they would buff the sides so that it would fit the bottom of a shoe. Nobody had ever yet molded EVA. Molded, you might hear from Nike, molded EVA being called Phylon. That's a Nike term for the same thing. It's the same foam. It's just kind of a Nike term. That was the start of everything. Like this teddy bear was a foam teddy bear that inspired Bruce and the rest of the company to start looking into molding EVA.
Now, the stuff that we see where it's compression molded and then injected EVA, these are 2 different processes and applications, but the same essential foam.
There's injection EVA now that's been around since not that long, actually. But prior to that, it's called compression molded EVAs. It's taking a big block of that foam. It almost looks like a loaf of bread, and then they put that into a mold and then they compress it. And that's where the foam then squishes into all of the different cavities of the mold. And then that 1-to-1 midsole is then put on the bottom of a shoe. Injection EVA is totally different. It injects the foam into a small mold. And then when the mold opens up and this little tiny thing pops out into the size of whatever size shoe it is, and you literally can't see it happening. It's happened so fast. And that's where most of the industry has gone now, because it's just cleaner, that injection EVA. But prior to that, it was molded EVA. And that's where this teddy bear kind of started all that.
Do you remember the first Nike model that used the Phylon or the new EVA?
The story has been told to me. It was the Terra TC, and it was a running shoe. And some people say that still to this day, that is Phil Knight's favorite running shoe. I don't know if it was because of the performance of it or because of that pivotal moment of what that shoe created for this new direction of footwear. Nike was working on air and how to make air its number 1 cushioning technology. And at the time, that had to be encapsulated in poured PU. So they were very focused on poured PU when this molded EVA was happening. So they were kind of doing both things. And other companies like ASICS started focusing on molded EVA, and their molded EVA actually became better than Nike's. And so that's when ASICS kind of came into the picture, especially at running specialty group stores, so RSGs. Clearly, Nike won out with staying focused on air, thank goodness.
So that's something that's really interesting. As a competitor sees what another brand is doing, they still do this today, where every time I've been to a different headquarters, there's a pile of different shoes from different brands, and they're essentially trying to reverse engineer what some of these guys are doing. Is that essentially what you believe ASICS had done, or was this maybe something that was already in the works, or was it really like Bruce Kilgore, Nike, the teddy bear? Was that really the start of all of this?
Look, there's certainly coincidences out there. I love the book Stealing Like an Artist. There's a lot of of people say there's no new ideas, right? There's just variations of the same. Whether ASICS was coincidentally looking into it at the same time, heck, maybe they were at the toy convention too and brought home a teddy bear. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, you always have to be aware of your competitors. I think it's silly not to know who your competition is. Yeah, that's what game film is, right? That's all about what game film is. So of course, Nike is doing game film, ASICS is doing game film. Everyone's learning, what the others are trying to do. And that's why innovation stays behind closed doors so that people don't learn about it too early. And especially nowadays, the technologies are out there to reverse engineer just about anything. So you only have a short amount of time before, if it is a great innovation, before it becomes prolific within, a given industry. First to move is a big thing, right? Like you want to be the first out there to do it. But a lot of people say that being the best second mover is more important because a lot of people don't pay attention to the first, they pay attention to the second. That's why in sports, right? Like you don't want to be the kid that gets caught elbowing, the player, your opponent after you got elbowed, right? Because you're the one that usually gets caught, right?
Right. We actually use that same philosophy when we do our performance reviews. We're not necessarily trying to be the first, we're trying to be the best. And so we test the shoes thoroughly, and we're not doing one-day reviews and things like that. We're doing like legit 2 weeks we're playing in these things on different surfaces. It just gives a more accurate assessment than just a quick run through or going through drills. But I have 2 examples right here of just different, EVA setups, so 2 different Air units, one Zoom and one is full-length Air. And these are actually from the Air Jordan 2011. If you guys are listening to this on a podcast platform, you can't see this, but we do have a YouTube channel in case you wanted to go check it out. It's over at WearTesters. This is kind of where you were saying that polyurethane was still prevalent just because of the Air component. Do you know when they figured out that they can create a space for these units within the EVA midsoles? And these, I think, like Zoom Air was like around 95-ish, 94. I mean, they've been using Air long before that, and like the Air Jordan 10 and things like that have it, and the Air Jordan 11, which is EVA. So do you know what time frame they figured that out? I know that's something that's big with design, something that I hear you and other designers always talk about is problem solving, not just for the athlete, but for the industry itself. So possibly, do you know the answer to that? I know that you might not, but just in case.
I don't know exactly, but you can look, you can go dig back. Nike is very good at marketing and product naming. So as soon as you start seeing Air in the name of the shoe, then you know that there's an encapsulated airbag inside. And a lot of those shoes were EVA. In fact, some of the earlier shoes in the early 90s were molded EVA. So Phylon is what Nike would call it. And then it would be the Air something. And so that means there's an encapsulated airbag inside. The big difference is that the PU, so the Air Max 1 was the first to visualize, so you could see the airbag. And that was with poured PU. So that was another big innovation, was when you could finally, and I think it might have been basketball, I forget who did it first, but we were able to expose and visualize the airbag with Phylon. So doing a compression molded EVA that had a window where you could put the airbag, cement the airbag inside so you could still see the air and use EVA.
Yeah, I know that the Air Revolution was the first air window for basketball, but that was PU. But then now that you mention a window, like a visible air unit for Phylon, I'm like trying to think back. The only thing that I can really think of is kind of the full length or 3/4 units, similar to what was in like maybe a Pippin or an Uptempo. But even then, I'm not exactly sure. That would be something that would be nice to deep dive in. Maybe Donald over at Kick Sigma can look into that. He's great at doing stuff like that.
Well, you already met some of them at my house and that Friday. So yeah, guaranteed one of those guys, Andrew from Sneaker Preservation Society, like they'd be able to tell you right away. But so the reason why some people might ask, if you have a Viz airbag, there's a visible air in PU, and you have a visible air in Phylon, what's the difference? Why would you use one over the other? Well, back then, PU was a lot heavier. It still is heavier, but they have new formulas that are lighter. So lightweight PU, but back then PU would definitely be heavier. And then also there's an issue with water. So water could start breaking down the PU. They call it hydrolysis. So water would get into the foam and start breaking it down over a long period of time. And so that's why Phylon was better. So again, it was like Nike was concentrating on both, trying to figure out, what's the best and what's the best combination. Then Zoom Air came along. All the technologies that are out there, whether it's gel, air, different puddles of different types of proprietary foam. Those different materials are proprietary to a company, and all they're doing is taking up that space to create more cushioning underneath your foot. And everyone's trying to figure out what feels the best and what has the most longevity. I would say Zoom Air still performs the best and lasts the longest. Well, until now, supercritical foam is another one that everybody's now playing with, and that has even more longevity and feels like Zoom Air. So that's another technology that's out there.
Yeah, Zoom Air is my personal favorite, just bar none. It was the first one that I was truly wowed by when I first tried them on in store. I was with the Penny Twos. I still remember the exact feeling. It was amazing, and going all the way to now, it's still just what I would prefer in any of footwear. It doesn't even matter what brand or anything like that. But you did mention supercritical foam. That's something that I was thinking about when you were explaining the differences between injected and compression molded. Supercritical is almost a different setup entirely, where you have a miniaturized version and then they puff that up into full-size form with nitrogen and everything. Or is there anything when you were a designer over at Nike that you saw in a factory that just truly blew your mind outside of the injected molded midsoles?
The first time I ever saw injection molding, Phylon was at a factory, the first factory to ever do it. And it was back when we had video cameras, and I was video camera, and all of a sudden literally like alarms went off and sirens were going and lights were flashing. And I was like, oh, what's happening? And the whole time I'm videotaping this mold opening up and this thing popping out, and I'm like, do it again. So I'm trying to capture this on film. People freaked out because, again, it was their innovation and it was in a tight space, and we were let in to see this new innovation. And here I am filming it because I thought it was so amazing. But yeah, they didn't want that to get out. So they took my tape, rightfully so. I mean, I shouldn't have been filming it. It was just, that's the kind of person I am. I'm always I'm always a sponge. I'm always trying to soak up new things that I see. And because who knows, just like Bruce, right? He was a sponge. Jeff Johnson gave him the teddy bear, and he was, aware enough and conscious enough to be like, wow, this is an amazing idea. So I'm always trying to find new ideas and sponge up new things that I see. And so, yeah, there's been a number of materials and innovations at different factories and different places, and that always goes into the work that I do. Supercritical was one that Nike's been playing with for quite a while. Again, coincidentally with other companies, I don't know. Everybody's looking for the next flubber. I don't know if I'm really dating myself.
No, I'm a huge Robin Williams fan. So yes, I remember that movie.
But again, people have to understand, especially in basketball, you're trying to get basketball, tennis, any court, you're trying to maintain that court feel, at the same time provide the cushioning that you need to play that sport, especially in tennis, like the pounding that they do for hours and hours. I don't know if you watched the US Open last night. It was incredible. Court feel and cushioning. How do you do that in a small amount of space with a particular material? So I would still argue Zoom Air is one of the best. Now you have supercritical. At that level, they can wear brand new shoes every time, right? So if that material compresses and gets smaller and smaller, loses that bounce over a particular amount of time, they can just wear a new pair. Well, for you and I, we certainly don't want to be doing that. And that's certainly not good for the environment. So that's why supercritical right now is being seen as a good material, because it doubles the life of a running shoe. Everybody's constantly trying to figure out, what is the next best material.
So thank you very much to Aaron Cooper for stopping by. It's always a pleasure having him. Go ahead and just remind everybody what your social is, and maybe if you have any new projects that are coming up, go ahead and give yourself a plug.
Yeah, thanks again for having me. Again, I'm on Instagram, aaron.ac.cooper. And the reason why I'm on there is just to share stories like this one with you, just to hopefully inspire more people about not just footwear, but how footwear is created, the creation process, the stories behind the product, the stories behind us. I believe it's the stories that matter. And what am I doing now? I have multiple clients that I'm working for and working with. I have a few of my own things that I'm working on. One that is public, which are the Move insoles that you know about. That's another one we should get on and talk about, because that connection between your foot and the shoe that you're wanting to perform in, there's a direct one-to-one relationship there that is very important and critical to your performance. So saw an opportunity when I was working with Serena Williams to do that, left Nike, and have since helped start that company, Move.one. So check that out. And then, I think it's just important, like we talked about, just being a sponge, being open and aware of everything going on around you and being receptive to that, and then sharing it with others so that you're constantly able to receive new information, and because you never know where your next idea is going to come from, creating the momentum to push that forward and those ideas to continue to live on on and turn into something else and share them with others so that they can be inspired to create dominoes and continue that momentum, because eventually the butterfly effect will happen. The butterfly that flaps its wings on one side of the world will eventually change the weather on the other side of the world. So I just realized, so butterflies, dominoes, and sponges, they're all important to me. So that's why you see the butterfly there. Over here on my shelf is a sponge that I keep next to me. And then I have dominoes all over the place, but my favorite one was one that I made. So this is one of my logos, represents a moonshot in a molecule. So my company name is called Moonshot Molecules, and the 3 dots are my 3 kids. So the idea is about, always keeping your eyes in 2 places, one in a microscope so you understand what's going on today, and then another eye in a telescope so you can help create the future. So that's where Moonshot Molecules comes from. And that's why I created the domino. And I always have those things around me because they're important to me.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. That's cool. All right, guys, so that pretty much takes care of it for us. This is episode 2 of WearTesters Unlaced. I really hope that you enjoyed the story of how a toy bear, like a giveaway bear, that like a squishy thing, like what are they called? Plushies or squishies?
They were like the original stress balls.
Yes, that's what I was thinking of. Sorry. That thing is why we have compression molded EVA across categories in the footwear industry, and it's really, really cool. I have more information that maybe we didn't cover, again, kind of like the Portland trip. Maybe one day we'll revisit and talk about it a little bit more in depth and stuff, but or maybe not in depth, but like just get, more little nuggets and things like that. But I just thought that the story was really fascinating. It was very quickly talked about in Portland, and he was
stuck on it.
Oh, I was really glued to it. I was just like, we have to, you got to tell people this stuff, man. Like this is really cool. So
it was the perfect Venn diagram for Chris.
Why? What
because
was that
it was toys meeting shoes.
Oh yeah, all my interests collided.
Yeah.
So, well, not all of them, but a lot of them.
Yeah.
And and I just thought that it was really dope. So I hope that you guys enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed episode 2. Thank you so much for listening. If you're not on YouTube and you're on one of the podcast platforms and stuff like that, that's something that I have like zero anything.
We're doing a lot of research between myself and Drew. Drew is 10 times the researcher that I am, but I'm an avid listener of podcasts, and I have definitely been researching stuff. So we're trying to do this well.
Yeah, we're trying our best. So,
yeah.
And this is just weird content for me because I've always kind of kept it about shoes. So hopefully you guys enjoy, and sound off below in the comment section if you're in the YouTube side. Is there comments on podcasts?
I know it depends. The different platforms have different things, whether you just hit the stars or if you leave comments. So again, I have to find out where we're going to land. I believe we're trying to get on Apple first. That one's the easiest one to get onto, and we're just going to figure things out. So
if you can leave a comment, feel free. I don't know. I don't listen to podcasts, so I don't know. But yeah, thank you guys for just everything, and we will catch y'all on episode 3. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, anything else?
I'm going to say bye because that's what you do.
Yes. So you guys have a good one. We'll see you later.